I wanted to take a moment and share my quiet little income secret with you. This is something that I kind of fell into almost by accident, but it turned out to be one of the best decisions I ever made. If you've ever had an idea for a software app that you knew could be a hit, but you blew it off because you have no idea how to make software, or you think it costs too much to develop, this video is for you. Welcome to the channel. I am so glad you're here. The crazy thing is, no one really ever talks about this process of creating a software app for earning passive income, but anyone can do it, even if you're not techie, even if you have absolutely no coding experience. And I'll explain exactly how. But before I get started, let me back up just a bit and share my story. 9 years ago, I was freshly laid off from my job. I was a graphic designer in a corporate office, and suddenly my job was eliminated because of company restructuring. After that happened, I knew one thing, that I would never, ever work for someone else again. So I doubled down on my freelance work and my book cover design work, which was a gig that I had been doing for years, working for authors and publishing houses. But then I noticed something. A lot of people would ask me about doing their cover design, but many of them were on a tight budget and couldn't afford my services. And I didn't want to sell myself short for my work, but I still wanted to help them. So I came up with this idea. What if there was a software program where people on a tight budget could be guided to create their own book covers without any design skills? You see, just a few months before that, I was talking to this insurance guy who said he had developed a software program that would calculate mortgages, like mortgage amortization. Is that right? And he was selling it on his website. I remember he said he was making about $20,000 a year just selling that downloadable program. And he's an insurance guy. He had no clue how to code. So what he did is he hired someone, and I think I remember it was like it cost him under $1,000. He actually made it all back in a couple months. He said that it was his mad money, his vacation money maker. And I thought that was super cool because I had zero coding experience and less than zero desire to learn how to code. But if he could do it, so could I. So I got busy researching if this could even be done. I found a site called Rent a Coder, which is now freelancer.com. And I picked a developer who I felt could create the software for me. I explained my vision, what features I wanted it to have, and who it was for. I gave him my drawn out examples, my sketches, and he was confident he could do it. He actually made me feel pretty comfortable with it. So I hired him. So over the next couple months, he kept me updated with his progress. And after some testing, my software program was finally ready to launch. I wanted this program to be simple enough for anyone to use, but still intuitive enough for self-publishers who wanted to have that full control of their book cover design. So I launched it on a website. I did some promotion, some advertising, and it took a minute, but then the sales started slowly rolling in. No big startup budget. I spent about $3,000. No venture capital. I just took a real world problem and made a solution to that problem people were willing to pay for. That one idea is still paying me 9 years later, year after year. And I want to help you see that it is possible for you to do the same thing. So if you have a software app idea inside of you, something that solves a problem for real people, don't let the "I'm not a coder" excuse stop you, because you can do this. And I am going to walk you through how I turned my idea into a real software product Step by step, I will share how I found a developer, communicated my vision, and launched my product without a massive following or budget. I will also share a checklist link in the description below. So the first thing you need to do is to have a clear problem and a clear solution. What are people struggling with? What would make their lives easier? For me, it was that self-publishers need an easy, affordable way to create professional-looking book covers, even if they have no design skills, and maintain that full control over their design. You can even ask your favorite AI app, like ChatGPT, for instance, to list out some good ideas for a software app or tool that solves a real problem. Once you have that clear pain point down, the next step is mapping out what your software or app tool needs to have to solve that problem. And I want to clarify that I am talking about desktop apps here, not phone apps. Phone apps are an entirely different monster. And honestly, I have never dealt with those. So no, this information is for computer desktop apps, either for Mac or for Windows. My app, for instance, is compatible with both platforms. For your desktop software app, don't worry about how it works yet. Just list all the things that you would need it to do. And then you'll have to determine a budget for developing the software. For example, you can have a decent app built for under $5,000, and even way less if you go about it wisely. Just understand that unless you're lucky enough to know how to code yourself, and you can always learn. I know there are many courses online if that's your thing. And if it is, hey, more power to you. You're amazing. But for the rest of us poor saps who have no time or desire to do that, you're going to have to spend some money. But you need to look at this as an investment. If you have a good idea that solves a definite problem, you will likely make back that investment many times over because people love software. I was able to get my software developed, like I said, for $3,000, and I made that back in a few weeks. But there are some tricks to doing this the right way so you keep your costs down to a minimum while finding the right developer. I learned some of these tricks the hard way and probably ended up spending a few $100s more than I had to, but that's how I learned. And I'm passing this along so you don't have to make the same mistakes. So keep these in mind. You have to make sure you have a clear-cut idea on what your software should have. You don't want to be vague and run the risk of your developer creating something you don't want, which will just eat up cost and time. Avoid long, drawn-out descriptions that will confuse the developer. Be concise. Be succinct. Here's a pro tip. Write out everything you want your software to do. Be as descriptive as you need to be, and then put it all into ChatGPT and ask it to polish and shorten your description. It is magical. Another great way to save time is to create your own visual brief or wireframe. Developers work faster with visuals, and you don't have to be an artist to do this. You can even sketch out your vision of how you want it to look, like I did, or you can use sites that are available now, like Balsamiq or Figma, where you can just simply drag and drop elements in to create a wireframe. A wireframe is just a visual layout of an app or software program. And I believe both of those sites offer a free 30-day trial, so take advantage of this. These work really well. Once you have your wireframes or your sketches down, it's time to find a software developer. There are a few good sites for this. I recommend either Upwork, freelancer.com, or TopTool. For the best developers at the lowest cost, I would recommend looking into developers from countries like India, Ukraine, Pakistan, or the Philippines. their costs can be considerably lower. My developer I used was from Uruguay, which is another great area. So just make sure they have a good work history. Look for the ones with at least a 90% job success rate. A budget range for developers in these countries is actually quite reasonable. You can have a robust software program developed for well under $5,000, maybe as low as $2,000. Make sure you're only working with 1 or 2 people. Try to avoid the larger development teams because they tend to be more expensive. And you'll want your coder to have experience building similar software or apps. A good idea is to hire your top choices for a small paid test, like having them build one portion of your software for a small budget, say 50 to 100 bucks. This will give you a good idea of if they're a good fit in what they do and how well they can communicate with you. And first, you will want them to build what's called an MVP, minimum viable product. Having an MVP will get your product out there sooner, and then as you start selling, you can expand upon it later. And don't pay for the whole project up front. Break it into milestones. For example, have them build the front end, and then the back end, and then the final testing, and so forth. This avoids any runaway costs. So for example, if you would come up with a new idea mid-project, what you would do is put it on a list for phase 2. So you can just focus on getting your MVP out right now. And remember to make sure you have it in writing that you own all rights to the source code. You will want the source code when your software is finished. And depending on the complexity of your software, the time frame for development can typically run somewhere from a couple weeks to a few months. Maybe more, maybe less. Mine took about a month. During this time, you will want to stay in contact with your developer at least a couple times a week for progress reports. So this is a quick breakdown of how to get a software app developed and what to expect in the process. Once you have your app ready and launched, you will want to get the word out. The best and most inexpensive way to do this is, of course, to post it on your social media. But I find that even making a short video for YouTube or TikTok works really well. If you already have a mailing list of people in the right niche, this is golden. It will take some time, but allow yourself a couple months at least to focus on promotion. You can also post it on an Etsy shop, and you can try Reddit, but be careful on Reddit, as a lot of groups on there don't allow promotional posts, or at least they have some rules about it, so just make sure you follow that. Anyhow, you can reasonably offer your software app for, say, $27 to $97, even more. Maybe offer a discount at first. And if it solves a real pain point, you will get sales. The beauty of this niche is it is still really unsaturated because most people just don't understand the software creation process. It kind of intimidates them. But once you do understand the process and you get the hang of it, the opportunities are actually unlimited as to what you can create. So for example, I offer my software program at 2 different price points. $97 for the personal use only, and $197 for the commercial use. And the commercial use is a license where people can create book covers and sell their designs to their own clients. In the near future, I will also be offering a white label version where people can actually resell my software under their own branding. And when that's ready, I will share my process with that as well. As I mentioned, my software program averages about $30K per year. I don't even have to promote it anymore because now it shows up pretty high in the search rankings. People purchase it as an instant download, and I really don't have to do too much with it. The only thing I really have to do is answer some occasional questions from people. And I also create downloadable cover templates in my program for those who want a pre-made design. So I probably put in about 40 hours of time into it per year. Per year. That's it. Let me know in the comments if you would like a more detailed video on this process, because I am more than happy to share what I know and help you. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you soon.